I never imagined that one ordinary Tuesday morning could rewrite my entire existence. The envelope arrived in the mail slot of my cramped one-bedroom apartment on the north side of Chicago like any other bill. Plain white, no return address, except for the discreet gold-embossed logo of Hawthorne and Associates in the top left corner. I almost tossed it aside with the junk flyers and credit card offers, but something made me pause. Maybe it was the thick, expensive paper stock. Maybe it was the way my name, Alexander J. Turner, was typed in perfect Times New Roman. No typos, no abbreviations. I tore it open with a butter knife because the flap was sealed too tightly. The first line hit like a punch to the sternum. You are the sole heir to the estate of Elias Hawthorne, deceased, with an estimated net value exceeding 57 million United States dollars. The coffee mug I was holding slipped from numb fingers and shattered against the chipped linoleum. Hot liquid splashed across my bare feet, but I didn't feel the burn. My ears rang. The kitchen tilted. $57 million. A number floated in my mind like a bad joke someone forgot to explain. People like me didn't inherit millions. People like me worried about whether the gas bill would clear before the cutoff notice arrived. My name is Alex Turner, 35 years old, divorced for 2 years, father to an 8-year-old girl named Lily who still believed her dad could fix anything. Former community college graduate with an associate's degree in business that had never once opened a door worth walking through. I worked as a mid-level sales representative for a dying SaaS company called Cloud Peak Solutions. My job was to cold call small businesses and convince owners who were already drowning in expenses that our cloud storage platform would somehow save the money. Most days I hit my quota by lying to myself that persistence would eventually pay off. It never did. Sarah, my ex, had kept the modest 3-bedroom house in the suburbs. She'd also kept most of our friends, the dog, and the narrative that I was the one who gave up. I didn't fight her on it. Fighting took energy I didn't have. Instead, I moved into this shoebox apartment with peel and paint and a radiator that clanked like it was trying to send Morse code SOS signals. Rent was $1,450 a month. I was usually late. Lily came every other weekend and alternate Wednesdays. Those 48 hours was sacred. We'd build blanket forts, watch Pixar movies for the 10th time, eat too much pizza. She never complained about the small space or the fact that her bedroom was a pull-out couch in the living room. But I saw the questions in her eyes sometimes. Why can't we have a backyard like at Mom's? Why don't you have a new car like Brad does? Brad, Sarah's new fiancé, insurance adjuster. Always smiling, always wearing polo shirts with popped collars. He once offered to help me get back on my feet with a condescending pat on the shoulder. I smiled and said thanks. Inside, I wanted to break his perfect teeth. That morning, after the coffee cooled on the floor, I read the letter 3 more times. Each pass made the words more real and more impossible. Elias Hawthorne, reclusive real estate tycoon, dead at 68 from pancreatic cancer, according to the attached obituary clipping. No wife, no children. A sprawling portfolio, commercial properties in Manhattan, luxury condos in Miami, vacation estates in the Hamptons, a private jet, stock holdings in half a dozen blue-chip companies, liquid cash reserves in the 8 figures, and me listed as his biological son. I hadn't even known the man existed. The letter instructed me to contact Mr. Reginald Grant, senior partner at Hawthorne and Associates, within 7 days. There were forms to sign, a plane ticket voucher paper-clipped to the back page, first-class round trip to JFK. I called in sick to work. My boss grunted something about quotas and hung up. Then I sat on the edge of my unmade bed for 2 hours, staring at the wall, trying to decide whether this was the luckiest day of my life or the beginning of the most elaborate scam ever targeted at a broke nobody from Illinois. Eventually, curiosity or desperation won. I dialed the number. A polished female voice answered. Hawthorne and Associates, how may I direct your call? Alex Turner, returning Mr. Grant's letter. A pause. Then, one moment, Mr. Turner. Mr. Grant has been expecting you. The line clicked. A deep, calm baritone came on. Alex, Reginald Grant, thank you for calling so promptly. His voice sounded like old money in leather-bound books. I don't understand any of this, I said. My throat was dry. Elias Hawthorne. I never met him. My mother's name was Karen Turner. She died when I was 12. My father, my real father, was Michael Turner, truck driver, also dead, car accident. I don't have any rich relatives. A gentle exhale on the other end. Elias was discreet about his personal life. Your mother and he had a brief relationship 36 years ago. She never told him she was pregnant. He only learned of your existence 2 years ago through a commercial DNA testing service you used. He had his own sample submitted under an alias. The match was conclusive. I remembered that kid. $20 on Black Friday. I'd done it mostly for Lily. Wanted to give her some family medical history if she ever asked. Never expected anything to come of it. He wanted to meet you, Grant continued, but the cancer was aggressive. He passed before arrangements could be finalized. In his final weeks, he revised his will. You are the sole beneficiary. I laughed, a short, bitter sound. This has to be a mistake. No mistake. The will has been probated and upheld in New York Surrogate's Court. There are conditions, however. Chief among them, you must reside at Hawthorne's primary residence, Seacliff Manor in the Hamptons, for a minimum of 12 consecutive months. Failure to comply voids the inheritance. Why? I asked. Elias believed wealth without responsibility destroys a man. He wanted you to learn what it means to carry this kind of legacy. He also left a series of letters addressed to you, personal messages to be opened at specific milestones during your first year. My head spun. When do I have to decide? You have 30 days from receipt of this notice, but I highly advise you to come to New York as soon as possible. There are documents to review, accounts to transfer, staff to meet, and frankly, Alex, the estate is already attracting attention. Distant cousins, business associates, people who believed they were in line. A chill ran down my spine. I'll come, I heard myself say. The ticket was for tomorrow. I spent the rest of the day in a daze. Called Sarah. She answered on the second ring. What's wrong? Is Lily okay? She's fine. Something happened. I told her everything, read the letter aloud. My voice cracked twice. Silence on her end. Then, Alex, if this is real, it is. Another pause. You have to take it. For Lily, think about her future, college, security, everything we never had. I hated that she was right. Can she come with me, at least part-time? Of course. We'll figure it out. Brad and I can adjust the schedule. Brad, of course. The next morning, I boarded a plane wearing the only decent button-down I owned and carrying a duffel bag with everything I thought I might need. Jeans, t-shirts, Lily's favorite stuffed animal she'd left last weekend, and the letter that had upended my life. JFK to East Hampton Private Airstrip. A black Escalade waited on the tarmac. The driver, tall, silent, wearing a dark suit, opened the door without a word. We drove through winding lanes lined with manicured hedges and stone walls. Gates opened automatically. A long gravel driveway curved toward the sea. Seacliff Manor appeared like something out of a magazine. White clapboard, black shutters, towering chimneys, wraparound porches. Behind it, the Atlantic stretched gray and endless under a low November sky. Mr. Brandt waited on the front steps. Welcome home, Alex. Inside smelled of lemon polish, old books, and salt air. Marble foyer, double staircase, crystal chandelier the size of a small car. He led me to a study lined with mahogany shelves. "We've prepared the master suite for you. Lily's room is across the hall, already furnished with things children like, toys, books, a canopy bed. The staff will arrive tomorrow to introduce themselves. Chef, housekeeper, groundskeeper, personal assistant." Personal assistant?
Victoria Lang. She was Elias's right hand for 15 years. She'll be invaluable during your transition. I nodded, numb. That night I lay in a bed bigger than my old apartment's living room, staring at the ceiling. Waves crashed outside. I thought about Lily's laugh, about overdue electric bills, about how one DNA swab had turned me from invisible to target. The next 3 weeks were surreal. I quit Cloud Peak over email. My boss called me a traitor and wished me luck sarcastically. Sarah brought Lily that first weekend. My daughter's eyes went wide when she saw the house. "Is this a hotel, Daddy?" "No, sweetheart, it's ours, for now." She ran from room to room, squealing. I followed, trying to memorize every corner so I wouldn't feel like a stranger in my own life. Victoria arrived on Monday. She was 38, maybe 40. Dark hair pulled into a low chignon, tailored black blazer, pearl earrings, the kind of beauty that intimidates rather than invites. "Mr. Turner," she said, extending a hand. Firm grip. "Call me Victoria. Elias spoke of you often in his final months." "He did?" "He regretted the years of silence. He wanted to protect you from this world until you were ready, or so he told himself." Her eyes were unreadable. Over the next months, she became my guide. She taught me how to read balance sheets, how to spot a bad deal, which board members could be trusted, which charities Elias had quietly supported for decades. She knew every secret passage in the house, every password to the encrypted drives, every vendetta Elias had ever settled. We spent evenings in the library, fire crackling, scotch poured. She told stories. Elias once bought an entire office building just to evict a rival who'd slept with his mistress. He never said a word about it, just let the man find out when the locks were changed. I laughed, then stopped. That's ruthless. That's survival at this level. I started to change. New clothes, tailored suits instead of wrinkled polos, a watch that cost more than my first car, dinners at restaurants with Michelin stars, private jets to Miami to check properties. I smiled more, laughed louder. People listened when I spoke. But the money felt heavy, like wearing someone else's skin. Anonymous letters began arriving. "You don't belong here. The fortune is tainted. Leave before it's too late." I showed them to Victoria. She frowned. "Cranks, or distant cousins stirring trouble. Ignore them." I tried. Then came Christmas. Victoria decorated a 12-foot tree in the great room. We baked cookies with the new chef. Even Sarah came for dinner, awkward, polite, but civil. That night, Victoria and I sat by the fire after everyone left. "You're doing well, Alex. Elias would be proud." I looked at her, really looked. She was beautiful, intelligent, powerful in ways I'd never known. I leaned in. She met me halfway. The kiss tasted like scotch and danger. After that, we were inseparable. She moved some things into the master suite. We planned trips. She introduced me to her investment idea, a tech startup focused on sustainable real estate. I wired $10 million without blinking. Then doubts crept in. My financial advisor, recommended by Grant, started warning me about unusual market movements in some of my holdings. Someone's shorting positions you recently acquired. It's deliberate. I brushed it off. Paranoia. Weeks turned into months. The house no longer felt foreign. I learned the rhythm of the tides, the names of the staff, the way the light hit the ocean at dawn. Lily started calling it our beach house. She made friends with the neighbors' kids, played on the private stretch of sand, collected shells that I promised to frame when we got back to Chicago, if we ever did. Victoria and I grew closer. Late-night conversations became routine. She shared fragments of her past. Orphaned young, worked her way up through sheer intelligence and ruthlessness, loyal to Elias until the end, or so she said. I told her about growing up poor, about losing my parents, about the constant fight just to keep the lights on. She listened like no one ever had. For the first time in years, I felt seen. But the anonymous notes kept coming, more frequent now. Some slipped under the front door, others mailed to the estate. One even appeared on my pillow while I slept. You're living on borrowed time. The real heir is watching. I installed more cameras, hired additional security. Victoria said it was overkill, but she didn't argue. Then the investment she pushed, her startup, started showing cracks. Reports came back negative. The technology wasn't revolutionary, it was derivative. Competitors were already ahead. I asked for more due diligence. She got defensive. Trust me, Alex. Elias trusted me with everything. I wanted to believe her.
Until the night of the storm. Rain lashed the windows like angry fists. Thunder rolled across the ocean, shaking the old house to its bones. Lightning turned the bedroom white for split seconds. I couldn't sleep. The scotch wasn't helping anymore. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Victoria, and padded downstairs in bare feet for a glass of water. Halfway down the grand staircase, I heard voices, low, urgent, coming from the library. I froze. Victoria's voice, sharp and cold. The fool's completely hooked. Once he signs the power of attorney next month, we move everything offshore. Grant's already set up the shell companies in the Caymans. Then a man's laugh, deep, satisfied. Reginald Grant. Beautiful work, darling. Elias never suspected a thing. The thallium was slow, painless. By the time the doctors labeled it pancreatic cancer, the damage was irreversible. We just accelerated the inevitable. My blood turned to ice water. I crept closer, staying in the shadows of the hallway. Through the cracked library door, I could see them. Victoria in a silk robe, Grant in a dark suit, a bottle of Elias's best scotch between them. Victoria leaned forward. He's so grateful, so naive, thinks this is his redemption story. Once the money's gone, we'll frame him for embezzlement. The press will eat it up. Poor boy from Chicago steals dead billionaire's fortune, gets caught. No one will question it. Grant raised his glass. To the perfect con. I felt sick. My knees buckled. I caught myself on the banister. Then I pushed the door open. They both froze. Victoria's face went white. "Alex!" I didn't speak. I walked straight to the desk where her laptop sat open. She lunged for it. I shoved her back, harder than I meant to. She stumbled into a bookshelf. I scanned the screen. Open email chain. Subject, Phase 3, asset transfer. Dozens of messages, timelines, wire instructions, forged DNA reports. Proof that Elias had paid the testing company to fake the match. He'd chosen me deliberately, someone with no connections, no money, no one to fight back. They hadn't just inherited the fortune. They had murdered Elias, slowly, methodically, then built an elaborate trap to take it all. Why me?
My voice came out hoarse, broken. Victoria straightened. The fear was gone now, replaced by something colder. Because you were perfect, desperate, lonely, so damn grateful. Elias was already terminal. We just helped nature along. And you were going to hand us everything on a silver platter. Love makes people stupid, Alex. I backed away, heart hammering. I ran to the study, Elias's private office, locked the door, called 911. Then I called my own security team. But Grant had connections, deep ones. By morning, the local police were polite but skeptical. Evidence? What evidence? The laptop was clean when they arrived, servers remotely wiped, emails gone. They countersued within days, claimed I had fabricated documents to steal the estate, that I'd coerced Victoria into a false confession. The media storm was immediate and brutal. Fake heir scams dead billionaire's fortune. From rags to riches to ruin, the Alex Turner story. Reporters camped outside the gates. Drones flew over the property. Lily cried every night on the phone. Sarah took her back to Chicago permanently, for her safety, she said. I was alone in a $50 million prison. Court dates blurred together, depositions, motions. I barely slept. Then came the final deposition. Cold conference room, fluorescent lights buzzing, Victoria across the polished table, perfectly composed, smirking. You really believed someone like me could love someone like you, a nobody from nowhere? I met her eyes, steady. I recorded everything. Silence so thick it hurt. That night, in the library, Elias had the whole house wired, old security system from the 90s he never bothered to remove. Audio, video, your voice, Grant's laugh, the confession about the thallium, everything. I pressed play on my phone. Her voice filled the sterile room. The thallium was slow, painless. Grant collapsed forward, head in hands. I'll testify. Full confession. Please, leniency. Victoria stared at me like I'd become something unrecognizable. Handcuffs clicked on both of them. The estate reverted to a charitable trust, Elias's fail-safe clause if fraud was ever proven. He'd built in protections, even he didn't trust the people around him. I received a modest settlement, not millions, just enough. A decent house in a good school district outside Chicago, college fund for Lily, enough to live comfortably without extravagance. Lily and I moved back. Smaller house, normal life, backyard with a swing set, neighbors who waved instead of paparazzi. Sarah and I learned to co-parent without venom. No more Brad smirks, no more condescending offers of help. Just two parents trying to do right by their daughter. I took a job, real estate appraisal, honest work, decent pay. I walked properties, measured square footage, wrote reports. No private jets, no Michelin stars, just quiet satisfaction at the end of the day. Nights are quiet now. Sometimes I still hear the ocean when I close my eyes. The crash of waves, the creak of old floorboards, Victoria's laugh turning cold. But mostly I hear Lily laughing in the next room, singing off-key to pop songs, asking for help with homework, telling me about her day. And that's enough. In the end, the greatest fortune isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the people who stay after the money disappears, and the strength it takes to let the rest go.